Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you everybody for coming out this morning and spending some time with our local lenders. There's no one better than our credit unions who are on the front lines every day of providing a lot of assistance for folks across Iowa, whether it's hometowns in Ottumwa or right here in Des Moines. Our credit unions have been a long-time partner and have really helped states like Iowa outkick our coverage when it comes to supporting our communities of all types. So one of the things we're working on today are the Community Development Financial Institutions, or CDFIs. Now what these are, these help banks, they help credit unions, they help financial institutions really get important dollars out into our community in a way that backs with federal dollars, something that we're already working on in our local communities. They provide essential financial services like savings accounts, lines of credit, checking accounts, rural and underserved low-income community loan opportunities. And across the country, there are over 1,400 different CDFIs that are certified by the Department of Treasury. In Iowa, we get 9 of those CDFIs. And they include everything from Community First in Ottumwa to, as I mentioned, Meridian, whose headquarters is in Waterloo, but serves communities across Iowa. What does the designation of a CDFI get your community? Well, let's talk about really what these guys have done here. A number of our leaders are going to be talking about the direct community impact. But what I want to highlight here is that it's access to resources and programming to bring federal opportunities right to local communities in Iowa. These programs support many of our small businesses, our local community developers, our schools, low or beginning income housing opportunities, and so much more. An example here in Iowa is that Meridian, they've used CDFI certified since their time first getting approved in 2016. And for every $1 million that they receive in FDA or CDFI grant funding, they're able to lend $20 million. So talk about a return on investment for our local community. For every dollar invested from the feds, 20 gets to go right back into our local communities. And these institutions and the programs they can access are critical for economic growth, particularly in our communities outside of large lending areas like big cities of Des Moines. Unfortunately, there are 2 challenges here. 1, a lack of transparency from the Department of Treasury and the feds, and 2, a lack of accountability for any who would be nefarious in this program. So let me talk about what we're looking to do with legislation right now. I'm proud to be introducing a bipartisan piece of legislation with a Democrat from North Carolina, Don Davis, in the Rural Credit Access Act. It creates transparency and prevents unintentional harm to communities that these CDFIs serve. So let's be very clear. When a CDFI has the opportunity to come in, there have been cases where the Treasury has oftentimes, with no transparency, ended a CDFI to a local community. And that means it's not just bad for the lender, but it really harms those communities who have invested in this. When it's taken away, it means less loans going out to be able to support low and impoverished communities. When those loans disappear and the federal dollars evaporate, oftentimes overnight, it means months of legal costs for a local community to be able to get those funds back. What we want to do is make sure that not only is the administration being held accountable for while they're making, in the dark of night transitions or changes, but that we really get to have those dollars where they're needed most. The other aspect is that we want to make sure that there's accountability. Now there are some institutions out there, and luckily I'm very proud to say not in Iowa, that have used this in poor ways. And we want to make sure those individuals not only are held accountable, but that their bad behavior doesn't impact what our local communities have come to depend on and really be able to grow from with the CDFI that works so well in our community. So let's thank very gratefully for our lenders here in Iowa who are helping lead the charge on this bipartisan bill for both transparency from the feds and accountability for the bad actors so that our very good actors have the opportunity to really help grow our local community. So with that, what I'd like to do is I'd like to invite Marie Williams, CEO of Iowa Credit Union, to touch on how this legislation is really driving a positive impact for local borrowers and the lenders who provide it for them. Come on up, brother.
Thank you, Congressman Nunn. Thank you as well. My daughter would love those.
Future borrower, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And good morning, everyone. As the Congressman said, my name is Marie Williams. I'm the President and CEO of the Iowa Credit Union League. Our organization represents 70 credit unions in Iowa and the 1.4 million Iowans who are credit union members. And I'd like to again extend a special thank you to Congressman Zach Nunn for being a credit union champion, also to his staff and to the countless Iowa credit union leaders in this room and around the state who tirelessly advocate on behalf of our movement. Your dedication strengthens our collective voice and empowers us to make a meaningful difference in the financial lives of Iowans. I also want to thank CEO Renee Christopher and her team for hosting us this morning at the branch here at Viridian Credit Union. As the Congressman said, community development financial institutions, or CDFIs, all share a common goal: to expand economic opportunity in low-income communities across Iowa and across the country by providing access to vital financial products and services. This purpose aligns perfectly with the social mission of credit unions, which is to support the financial well-being for all members in the communities we serve. As an industry, Iowa credit unions have much to be proud of through the significant impact we make every day. A few of those highlights. Nearly half of all Iowans have chosen credit unions as their trusted financial partner and to depend on us just to help with their everyday needs. Iowa credit unions also originate 30% of the mortgage loans in the state and 59% of all auto loans, often serving those who are turned away by others. Iowa credit unions also contribute nearly $2 billion annually to our state's economy. And at a time when many banks are pulling away out of rural and underserved areas, Iowa credit unions have been doubling down. Over the past 10 years, credit unions in Iowa have added more than 40 new branches across the state, including areas at risk of becoming banking deserts, as the number of bank branches has declined. And today, as the Congressman said, nearly 1/3 of all CDFIs nationally are credit unions. And in Iowa, we're proud that 5 of those 9 are credit unions. These include a Centric Credit Union, Case Pine Community Credit Union, Community First Credit Union, Dupaco Community Credit Union, and Viridian Credit Union. These credit unions have collectively been awarded more than $10 million in CDFI funding, which has allowed for the investment in creative loan and grant assistance programs focused on the underbanked and unbanked in our state. These programs include first-time home buyer assistance loans, loans to support immigration and citizenship costs, small business capital, and credit builder loans, just to name a few. In short, credit unions are improving the financial lives of Iowans every day. Our sole focus has always been on our members who are often unable to receive dignified financial services elsewhere. And that is why Congressman Nunn's Rural Credit Access Act is so important and impactful. To give further insights, I'm excited to welcome 2 Iowa credit union leaders who will share their firsthand experience leading CDFI credit unions. Please help me welcome Greg Hanshaw, President and CEO of Community First Credit Union, to speak on his credit union's CDFI experience.
Welcome.
Thank you, Murray. I appreciate the very kind remarks, and super excited to be here today to talk about what the CDFI program has meant, not only for our credit union, but for our members and for folks here in Iowa that have really been recognized as the beneficiaries of a wonderful program. Community First is based out of Ottumwa, and we were certified as a CDFI in 2017. Since that time, our credit union has received $2.9 million in CDFI grants from the Treasury. We've been able to create 2 very impactful programs since we've been certified as a CDFI institution. The first program was a payday alternative loan program developed in 2018, the purpose of which was to help Iowans get out of the predatory cycle of payday lending. With these payday loan alternative products from our credit union, no credit history is needed from the borrower. They're small dollar loans, a maximum loan of $1,000. The average at our credit union is about $700, and the loans are meeting some very significant needs. One of the best examples I have to share today is the example of a young mom who got one of these payday alternative loans from our credit union so that she could purchase insulin for her child. She had no other way to provide that medicine. Community First has provided over 5,500 of our members these impactful loans totaling over $3.9 million to borrowers with an average credit score of 563. So these loans are going to folks who need it the most and who can't get the help anywhere else except at oftentimes payday loan organizations that take advantage of our Iowans. The second program that Community First has been able to develop with the help of CDFI is our first-time home buyer down payment assistance program. This program for us was developed in 2020, and since then, just short of 500 first-time homebuyer grants have been issued by Community First, totaling $2.1 million for an average of $4,400 per grant to help making buying a home possible for Iowans who couldn't get that help elsewhere. Grant recipients from our credit union, and trust me, there are so many others from the other credit unions that Murray mentioned a moment ago, but from our credit union, those recipients are from 99 different Iowa communities in 37 different Iowa counties. So the program is helping Iowans all over our great state. A story I have that I'm going to share very briefly, if I can get to it here, is the story of a member who received one of these first-time homebuyer grants from our credit union. About a year ago, a 22-year-old came to see First to begin exploring options for buying her first home. She's a second-generation credit union member, and she felt most comfortable reaching out to her credit union rather than going to any other financial institution. At the time, she had been employed for about 9 months since graduating from college. She had been diligent about saving her money over the years, but she wasn't terribly excited about utilizing all of her savings for the dream of purchasing her first home. So thanks to the CDFI grant program that was offered to her as a first-time home buyer who qualified to be a part of the program, in the midst of a very highly competitive housing market, she was able to find a home that she fell in love with. And she made an offer knowing that her down payment was for the most part taken care of, essentially with the grant money provided by the CDFI grant. So the CDFI money not only provided financial assistance to this young woman, but also offered peace of mind and confidence, alleviating some of the stress associated with going through the process of purchasing her first home. This support enabled her to retain her hard-earned savings and save those for future needs and also for working on her new home, and enhanced her sense of stability and preparedness for her first chance ever to own a home of her own. So as we talk about the Congressman's legislation that he is putting forth, I think the thing that I would like to stress the most is the CDFI program is providing funding to Iowans, not only who are receiving some great benefits from that funding, but to Iowans who need it the very, very most. And quite frankly, most times Iowans who can't get funding like that for their needs anywhere else. So the CDFI fund, partnering with our credit union and others here in our state, is definitely impacting the Iowans that need it most. At this time, I would like to introduce a very good friend of mine, and most of us, or all of us, I hope, in the room, Renee Christopher, the president and CEO of our host today, Viridian Credit Union. Renee?
Hello, everyone. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today at our Ingersoll branch. We're so happy you're here, and thank you, Mr. Congressman, for inviting us to be a part of today. We've talked to him in the past about our CDFI program, and we're excited to share some information with all of you as well. So to start, I'd like to share a little bit about Viridian Credit Union's journey as a CDFI, or a Community Development Financial Institution, and our road to certification. So in 2016, Viridian Credit Union became certified, and at that time we were one of the first credit unions in the state of Iowa to achieve that certification. We're really proud of that. When we got that approval, that allowed us to apply for grant funding through the CDFI, and we have since applied for 2 competitive grants and been awarded those 2 grants in the amount of $2.9 million. Now in 2016, when we were awarded one of those first grants, we implemented a financial inclusion mortgage product here at Meridian Credit Union. And the reason that we did that is because we wanted to remove barriers that our members and other community members have experienced when it comes to obtaining a home. We wanted to do everything we could to prevent them from facing barriers when they were trying to realize that dream of owning their own home and building long-term financial success. So when we looked at our CDFI certification and we also looked at the grant application process, we really thought, you know what, this is a wonderful opportunity to really focus on creating those homeownership opportunities for individuals. And by the end of those 2 grant cycles, we were awarded $2.9 million. And as Congressman said, we were able to turn that into $53 million in mortgage loans. And we have since put over 425 individuals or families into homes that otherwise would have experienced barriers. So I'm really excited to be able to share with you those statistics too, because they're pretty impressive, right? When you can say that you've put 425 families into a property that they can then build generational wealth for their families is really meaningful and impactful. And one of the most impactful things to share about that is stories. So how does this impact individual members and how has it made a difference in their lives? So I want to tell you a story about one of our members from Bagley, Iowa. In Bagley, if you're not familiar, is a small rural community and the population is about 230 people, and it's about an hour northwest of where we're standing today. And Rochelle and her young family of 4 had been in a home for about 7 years, and they were notified in November that the landlord was going to be selling their home. And so her and her husband had a conversation, and they knew right away they needed to pursue the opportunity to become homeowners and purchase that home that they had been in for so many years. And they had had trouble in the past qualifying for a traditional mortgage. So that's where our mortgage loan originator stepped in and said, you would be a great candidate for our financial inclusion mortgage product. And I am so happy to share with all of you that they became homeowners a few days after Christmas. So now they have a home. And that also meant that they didn't have to go into the new year trying to figure out where they were going to relocate to or what community